There hasn't yet been any news on The Nun 3, and it's never been touted as part of James Wan's plans for upcoming movies in the Conjuring universe. However, The Nun 2 director Michael Chavez spoke to SFX magazine in August 2023 via Games Radar. From his perspective, there's definitely scope to expand the story further with The Nun 3. There's a line in The Nun 2, "Demons are infinite. I like the idea that she's always been here in different forms. I think that there's still more stories of Valak the demon nun to be told." When asked what kind of stories could happen in The Nun 3 and how they'd fit into the wider universe of The Conjuring, Chavez explained, "Anyone who saw the first Conjuring knows that Maurice is possessed and then exorcised by the Warrens, and we know that that happens in the late 60s in the Conjuring timeline." He then added, "The Nun 2 is set in the 50s, so we're still a ways off from that. The events of what happens in between this starts to fill out that story a little bit more." The Nun 2 has been a relative box office success for New Line Studios, netting $5.3 million globally on its opening weekend, making it the second highest opening movie for the Conjuring franchise. There's clearly still an audience appetite for the spin-off franchise, but The Nun 3 isn't confirmed, and there's nothing to suggest that there are any plans for it to enter development soon. Even if The Nun 3 was to be confirmed soon, it would still likely be a long wait. The Nun was released in 2018, and it wasn't until 2023, 5 years later, that The Nun 2 arrived. There's not been confirmation yet that The Nun 3 is happening, but it's realistic to expect it in 2026 at the absolute earliest if it does, and even this is optimistic. There's no word on what the story of The Nun 3 will be if it's confirmed. The post-credits scene of The Nun 2 brought back Ed and Lorraine Warren, but this is widely thought to be a setup of The Conjuring 4 titled The Conjuring, Last Rites than it is The Nun 3. Comments from director Michael Chavez point out that there's still several years unaccounted for when it comes to the Nun and Frenchie in the Conjuring timeline. The Nun 3 could show Valak returning to Maurice once again, ending once more before he met the Warrens. Or the third movie in the franchise could bring the Warrens into the franchise spin-off fully, finally showing their first encounter with Valak and the Nun.